Well, it's time for lesson 2 for Friday night. And I just want to again bring us back to our key verse for the weekend, which is John 8:31-32, which says this. Jesus said to the people who believed in him, "You are truly my disciples if you remain faithful to my teachings, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." See, it's not just the truth that sets you free. It's the truth that you know. See, it's important that we know the truth. It's important that we use our brains, we love God with our mind, and think carefully about what we accept as true. And when we accept the truth, we know the truth. And that's the truth that will set us free and allow us to experience the freedom that God has for us instead of being held captive by lies from the enemy. It's so important that we learn how to process claims and reject the ones that are wrong. So we're going to continue in that. The first lesson we covered objective and subjective truth, and we learned there's some claims we don't even need to think about anymore. It's just subjective claim, and so we don't need to worry about it. But objective claims take a little more effort. So we're going to go through some objective claims. And when we have an objective claim, we're talking about a claim that's true for everybody. But for a claim to be valid, for a claim to be something that we really need to think about, it must obey the 3 laws of logic. These are laws that Aristotle long ago in Greece found was true and kind of shared with man. And we love when people stumble across something that God has already created. See, God created all truth. So when we figure out gravity, and we're like, oh my goodness, we've figured out what gravity is. That's something God created. So all truth is God's truth. And so when man finds a truth and it matches up with reality, that's a wonderful thing. We just found something God already created. So Aristotle figured out some really cool stuff. He gave us 3 laws of logic that help us determine whether a claim is something that we really need to think about believing or whether it needs to go in the trash can. So I'm going to give you the 3 laws and show you some examples of each, so that as we start to process claims, we know which ones go in the trash can as rejects and which ones are valid claims that we need to decide if we're going to believe. So here's the first law of logic. The first one is the law of identity. The law of identity. This is what this law is. It's something is what it is and not something else. Classic example. I am Jonathan and I am not Julia. Right? I am Jonathan and not Julia. Now, I might have different name tags on. Like I have a name tag that says Jonathan, but my kids sometimes call me Dad. Now, even though those are 2 different words, I'm still the same identity. Sometimes I have the name tag Dad, sometimes I have the name tag Jonathan, but I don't wear the name tag Julia. Does that make sense? So there is something is what it is and not something else. An apple is an apple and it's not an orange. Now, an apple is a fruit, an orange is a fruit, but an apple is not an orange. Kind of making sense? I want to give you another example. A chair is not a chair. Think about that for a minute. A chair is not a chair. Yeah, that violates law of identity because the word chair literally means it's a chair. So to say a chair is not a chair is a trash statement. It goes right in the trash can. Another example, a square has 3 sides. Think about that for a minute. A square has 3 sides. What's the definition of a square? 4 sides. So to say a square has 3 sides is nonsensical. It is a trash statement. It violates the law of identity. When I say a square has 3 sides, you're like, no. A triangle has 3 sides. Now, a triangle has 3 sides. That passes the law of identity. A square has 3 sides. I mean, you need to go back to kindergarten. Making sense? The law of identity is it is what it is and not something else. Okay, second law that you guys need to know about is the law of non-contradiction. The law of non-contradiction. This is a claim cannot be both true and false in the same way and at the same time. Can't be both true and false at the same time in the same way. Let me give you an example. Imagine that you are playing baseball. And you are on base, first base, and you are running to second. You're trying to steal second, and you are running for second base. And the pitcher sees you running. And so he throws to second base, and the second baseman catches that ball and sweeps down to tag you on your way in, and the umpire's watching to see if he tags you in time. Then imagine the umpire says this, he's safe, and he's out. He's safe and he's out. That statement needs to go in the trash can because that is a strange umpire. He's either safe or he's out, but he can't be both safe and out in the same time, right? That is a nonsense statement. What's another example? Well, I have this little key fob, and if I said this key fob is red, you'd look at it and say, no, it's kind of blue, John. That's a blue key fob. No, but I said it's red, that goes in the trash can because red is different than this color of this key fob, right? So that would be another one that would violate the law of contradiction. What about this one? I am not myself today. We hear people say that all the time. I'm just not myself today. No, you literally are yourself. Like literally, like that is the definition of you is yourself. So if you say you're not yourself, that would violate the law of non-contradiction. Or here's another one. 2 + 2 is 5. You with me? 2 + 2 is 5. It's really not. 2 + 2 is 4, or we all need to go back to kindergarten. Those are examples of statements that violate the law of non-contradiction. See, something can't be both true and false in the same time in the same way, right? Okay, cool. So I want to give you the last law is the law of the excluded middle. The law of the excluded middle. What does that mean? It means for you to have a valid truth claim, it must either be true or false. What do you mean? Well, so for example, a light is neither on or off. You're thinking, a light is neither on nor off. No, a light is either on or off. Now, you may be thinking it's dim, but even if it's dim, it's still taking electricity. I would consider a dim light on. Off means there's no electricity flowing through it. A light is either on or off. So when I say a light is neither on or off, that violates the law of the excluded middle. It's got to be one of the other guys. You got to pick one. Can't pick both. The door is both open and closed. You're thinking to yourself, well, what if it's cracked open? Well, if it's cracked open, it's still open, right? So if it's cracked open, if it's a little ajar, it may not be wide open. I didn't say wide open. I said the door is neither open or closed. It's got to be one or the other, right? It's got to be either open or closed. So you got to pick one. But if you try and say that something doesn't have that, then it's false. How about this one? The current king of America has orange hair. The current king of America has orange hair. Well, this presupposes there is a king. We don't have a king. We have a president. So since I'm talking about someone that doesn't exist, it can either be true or false because we don't even have a person to look at. Who's the king of America? We don't have a king of America. What we have is either a president or a king. We don't have both, right? So you got to pick one or the other. Okay, let me give you one last example. God is all powerful, but there is evil he is powerless to stop. God is all powerful, but there's evil he's just powerless to stop. Do you see how that violates the law of non-contradiction? Because if he's all powerful, then he is not powerless to stop anything. Now, he may have chosen not to stop something, but that's different than saying he is powerless to stop something. So anything that violates that one also goes in the trash can, right? So as you start receiving these claims, you start receiving these ideas, you want to process, man, does this claim violate any of the laws of non-contradiction, laws of identity, laws of excluded middle? Does it violate any of those laws? Because if it violates those laws, we just need to toss that in a trash can unless we can change the statement to where it satisfies those, and then we can think about whether it's true. So we're going to spend just a few minutes. I'm going to give you some other examples to process through together where you guys are going to decide if some things go in the trash can or if they're ones that we might want to believe are true and know are true. Does that make sense? man, I'm looking forward to where we go with all this tomorrow. We're going to start using these pieces of the 3 laws of logic, the objective circuit truth, and we're going to process some things together that the world is constantly telling us. And we're going to learn to experience what it means to know the truth and let that truth set us free. It's going to be great. So if you're at the girls' house, I will see you tomorrow morning at church. If you're the guys, we're going to hang out together and have some more fun tonight. And I'm loving being with you guys this weekend. Here we go.